Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the final session of the AIJC, what has been a pretty jam-packed and extremely successful conference. The final section is Emerging Tools and Techniques. And joining us today to take us through that are Ruana Meyer, who's a multimedia investigative journalist. She's a media trainer and a consultant. And all the bios online about her seem to start with the fact that she's the first Nigerian journalist to be nominated for an Emmy nomination. But I think a more important award would be that she's Nigeria's Investigative Journalist of the Year for 2013. And she's going to be taking us through an introduction to using TikTok for investigations. TikTok, of course, now 700 million members strong. And she'll be looking at that and giving us a few tips and tricks around that. The second half is going to be led by Adebayo Okio, who's Africa Program Manager at Witness. Witness is an incredible organization that helps people use video and tech to protect and defend human rights. Adebayo works at that slightly uneasy intersection between human rights and technology. For example, he works at the Digital Verification Core project at the University of Pretoria, which is an initiative that uses digital tools to verify citizen media with the aim of advancing accountability for human rights violations. He's going to talk to us about how to spot deepfakes and shallow fakes. He's the first person who actually made me aware of the true menace that deepfakes and shallow fakes can hold. So he'll have a lot to say on that. So Ruana and Adebayo are going to have 20 minutes each. Then we'll have 10 minutes for questions. And then at the end of our session, Professor Anton Harber, who brought us this beautiful conference, will be giving the AIJC's closing address. So please stick around for that. So let me hand straight over to Ruana. Ruana.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an actual privilege and welcome. I'm going to go over this really quickly so that there'll be time for questions and we can take as much of that. I'll just share my screen now. So here we are. TikTok for investigations. This is going to give you the basics. As we said, it's as Chris has said, it's emerging tools. So this is to help you make sure that you sort of know what you're getting into with TikTok for investigations. So the outline for this is that we're going to talk about, why TikTok, why should you bother using TikTok? I'll give you a background about the app that is TikTok. I'll also give you some professional reasons that you should consider for using TikTok and touch on the personal reasons for using TikTok. But as always, that will be up to you to decide. Then we'll move on to the basics of getting started. There's two ways you can use TikTok. As a lurker, somebody who is not really, who's just surveying and, wanting to be aware. And for investigations, trying to get sources and trying to have a grasp of what's happening in your world, as it were. And then rounding off this section will be the basics of how to open a TikTok account. And then finally, we'll have some case studies. As we said, these are emerging technologies, so I really wish we could have African examples, but I do know that there are strong lessons we can learn, and these are with Wired, from Vice, and the New York Times as well. At any time, do feel free to send your questions in and we'll take those as soon as possible. So let's start. Why TikTok? TikTok is an application or an app optimally for mobile use. So that's your mobile phone, your tablets, and users can make and share creative videos that loop, and it can be up to 60 seconds in length. You either use sounds. So sounds are just audio clips. They can be music from famous singers or even just your own. And you put that on and the videos just keep playing and playing and playing. So, TikTok, as you know, is the most downloaded app in 2019. Now, as at April this year, it's at 2 billion, over 2 billion times downloaded. But then there are 500 million active users, as Chris has just noted. What's interesting is that 3/4 of all TikTok users are aged under 24 years, right? And the average user of TikTok opens that app 8 times a day. Now, what happens when they open the app? When they open the app, users are spending an average of almost an hour, 52 minutes per day in that platform. This increases even further in the demographic that is aged 4 to 15. We're finding out that those people, the really young ones, spend an average of 80 minutes per day on this app. In terms of countries where TikTok is available, it's now available in 154 countries across the world, and in 75 different languages. So that's to show you how much it's catching on. However, I must tell you, full disclosure, that TikTok is controversial due to the fact that high-ranking staff members have links to the Chinese Communist Party. However, I would personally say all the more reason why you should know and get on TikTok. You should know about, or at least get on TikTok, because if you do not know, just the fact that somebody is linked to something or owns something doesn't mean you shouldn't actually find out how it works and what's going on. Besides, there's 700 million people there. The demographic that everyone is trying to reach, aged under 24 years, is there. And they're watching more and consuming more than is traditionally seen elsewhere. So I think it would be good to get on TikTok. Why should you bother with TikTok? Well, you should if you are reporting on or investigating younger audiences. If you will also be publishing, or you intend to publish to younger audiences, then you have to go and meet them there. Nowadays, investigations and investigators are aplenty. The market, in quote, is saturated. If, even in terms of quality, our continent is proudly doing more in terms of quality. And so it's very competitive. If you're also interested in new demographics within your existing audiences, you should bother with TikTok. Because, for example, those who are sort of far ahead in terms of uptake, the news organizations, the journalists, they've discovered that even though traditionally their traditional offerings are consumed more by, say, the male demographic, they've found out that the same type of news adapted to TikTok is consumed more by other demographics, so younger people, women as well. And these are documented studies. So I think even if you're already established, both as a journalist with a following or a media house that already has a set audience, if you want to, expand into new demographics, you should try to think of TikTok. Just consider it. And then for personal reasons, that would be up to you. As I've said before, you could decide to just bury your head in the sand about it, or you can decide to say, what's actually going on there? Because I think part of the reason why we're journalists is that we need to know what's going on so that we can make sense of it for others who can't. So for personal reasons, I would say go for it. But as always, the choice is yours. So getting started with TikTok, the first things you should know, you do not need to download TikTok to use it to search for trends or for people, right? You can easily even use your laptop and go on TikTok and search for trends or search for people. However, you do need to download the app if you want to read comments, if you want to post comments, and if you want to conduct other deep dive tasks like start searching users, start sending messages to users, and all of that. So on that note, you can choose to be a lurker, or you can choose to be a full-time user and a poster for your investigations. I'm a lurker, even though I have an account. I do not post anything on TikTok, but I do what I've seen other people do. I use it to know what's going on, even down to communities. I use it to know what's going on among age groups within my interest groups. And I've seen it used as well for, I know I would know exactly how to publish my investigations on TikTok because I'm just there always observing what's going on. We will see specifically in the case studies the way you can use TikTok to get sources and deep dive. So the best user experience for TikTok is on mobile devices. You won't get the full gamut of TikTok if you are not using your phone or your tablet. On the web, using your desktop computer or laptop, it doesn't give you the same experience. So just things for you to know. Now, in starting to use TikTok, just to make a basic search, you don't have an account, you're not interested, you're trying to still feel if it's for you. What you would do is go into your browser and just get TikTok. Type in tiktok.com/ and the word discover, right? And then it would give you, let me just bring up my highlighter, my pointer. It will give you this. So this is it. You just type tiktok.com, put the / the word discover. So it would give you the users that are within your browser location, and it will show you the trends based on this browser location, right? So because I had my browser, as normal for Germany, it's showing me, people that are trending now in Germany. It will pick up trending videos for you, as you see here. If you go this way, you can see the sounds. The sounds are the music, speech, anything audio that is trending in your area, right? And then it also gives you hashtags, so you can go on there. A tip for you if you're investigating, you should use incognito browser tabs on your phone or your laptop or even your laptop as well as your tablet before you begin searching. So all you have to do to search is tiktok.com / discover. So next, the other thing you need to do is to be looking for hashtags. In any case, the best way to search for your hashtags is when you write tiktok.com / you put the word tag because you are looking for hashtags, and then you put / and then you put whatever word it is you're looking for. Okay. So it's up to you to now decide what your tag is going to be. I chose Africa, and you can see it right here. Africa has tiktok.com /tag / Africa. You can put your specific hashtag by changing the word and phrase after tag. So a tag I usually put in is interracial couples because you tend to see a lot of jokes that are not really jokes there. And one thing I should let you know is that hashtags within continents or regions are added very often on TikTok. So TikTok is not like other social media. It's really regional. It's really, really regional, to the extent that because it's in all those different languages as well, the hashtag within your region could be based on slangs, and it could definitely be non-English. For instance, some popular tags are even like Nyaupe, which is about the drug. It's about things like Mabanzi, which is, a hairstyle in Southern Africa. It's that microscopic. So you need to know exactly what you are looking for, or at least have an idea of what it is you want to investigate. Now, you can also search for people on TikTok. What you do here is tiktok.com/ again, you put the @ and then you put the user's handle. Now, the thing here is you have to know the user's handle name in the first place to be able to search for it. And also, the function may not be successful, one, based on the user's security settings. So they may have decided that they don't want to be found in search, and also based on rumored changes. But just so you know, you need to add the @ before the user's handle. And an example here is Miss Iyabo Ojo. She's a very popular Nigerian actress. And here she is, tiktok.com/@Iyabo Ojo, with her name as done. And so you can see all the skits she puts on here. She does the whole thing, dancing, acting, she does it all, promoting her businesses, she does it all. So if I were investigating her, or I wanted to know where she was for some reason, I would actually come to her TikTok. Because the one thing you should know about investigations is that where people are very careful at work, they are not on social media. They are going to let loose. They are going to actually have a lot of fun. And you can find out a lot if you do know their TikTok name. So one tip I've done now is the people who are of interest to me, or who I think will be of interest to me, I usually try to see if they already have a TikTok account. Because it's not when you start investigating them, you now run and make sure that they will now run and close down all their accounts, or as we say, put padlocks on their Twitter account, make their Instagram account private, and you can't send a friend request anymore. So if there's anybody that is going, that right now you are investigating and they're active on social media, you should check if they have a TikTok account as well right now and find out what it is. Definitely get in there as much as you can and get whatever screenshots you need. Now, just to be clear, Miss Iyabo Ojo is not a shady character. She was just a lovely example that I put up here for illustrative purposes. Now, how do you open a TikTok account? You need to go to tiktok.com/profile. And on your phone, this is what you are going to see. You're going to see this type of motif, and it will say sign up for an account. So you first do tiktok/profile, sign up. And when you do that, you are going to see this next type of screenshot. So sign up for TikTok, create a profile, follow other accounts, make your own videos and more. You can use your phone or your email. You either continue with Facebook, continue with Google, continue with Twitter. I wouldn't do any of this as a investigator. I would stick with the option of using email, because of course you can always make up an email. None of this I would do, especially if I had a long-standing Facebook account, I had a Google account that was very important to me, or I was very active on Twitter. I would just stick with the phone or email. So if you have a phone number that is nondescript, or an email account that you can do without, then yes, go for that option. When you do get signed in, two important places are your privacy settings, and the app language you want. So I usually change my app language from time to time. And that is because I want to get into another world. I probably want to see what's happening in Germany, for instance. Maybe just check out the drug scene there. Yeah, that's actually true. I do that for that purpose. You might also want to have, under privacy, you might want a private account. So you would shift this from here to here, and it would, once it's green, that shows that feature has been activated. So what I have is a private account, because as I said, I'm a lurker. With a private account, only users you approve can follow you. and view your videos and view your likes. You know, your existing followers that exist right now will not be affected. And then you can either decide to suggest your account to others, whether your profile can be suggested to users. Now, I wouldn't put this on because yes, I want to be the one watching people. I don't want them to watch me. So another part where you should really find out is for safety. Who can send you direct messages? You know, you can decide it's only you, so nobody can contact you. However, if as an investigator, you want to talk to people, you are there to look for sources, you need to change that to everyone, okay? Who can stitch your videos? You probably shouldn't allow everyone do that but that's if you post something, you know. If you are posting your investigations, yes, you can allow everybody who can duet your video. So in TikTok, when they say duet, it's like if I did a video and somebody else wanted to do a video of them reacting to my video or doing exactly what I did, they can duet my video and then both will appear side by side, more or less. Now, in news terms, you really shouldn't allow somebody duet your video, because what it means is there's no other, I think the best way to describe it is they would be turning your video into a meme. So that version of your video can be changed into something that you actively do not want as a serious journalist. You know, investigations are serious and you want to be careful. So you might want to say no to having anybody stitch or duet your videos. Who can view your liked videos? It's up to you. If you're a lurker, it's only me. I don't want people seeing the things I like, or the things, in this case as an investigator, the things I'm interested in. So it has to be only me. So these are just things that you want to be really careful about. As always, as I said, you can change your app language from time to time. So some more tips are that TikTok challenges are very serious, actually, for an investigator. So in TikTok, there's a lot of comedy there. It seems like people are just dancing, but you see, our job as investigators is to sift out what is comedy and what is real. There's an example of a high school challenge. I actually, for ethical reasons, I didn't share it here to protect the identity of the minors. But when I saw it, it was a high school challenge. I'm sure the colleagues in South Africa who are active on TikTok may have seen it. It was this high school challenge where they called it a high school challenge. That was the hashtag, right? So when you go into the high school challenges that also have the hashtag for Africa, you will see that there are these high school students who are busy talking about the different characteristics of different schools. They named the schools, actually. And so what you can see from that is that there are patterns of drug abuse, actually, and even sex trafficking that might be going on in these high schools. Because everybody is then in the comments talking about, oh, have you heard that this happened there? Have you heard that this happened there? And it's a massive treasure trove. You can easily screenshot these things, take it from there, and just run with it and start actually investigating, because the people's names are there in the comments. You click some of the commenters that were actually outing what is going on. I clicked on their profiles. They're actually there. There are so many clues to who they are, what their real names are, you know. So it's a whole treasure trove. Do not make the mistake to think that TikTok is a joke. There's a lot of things going on TikTok. It will be even, you'll see some of those in the case studies. Language is very important as an investigator. So the hashtags that might lead to your next story, your next social investigation, it may actually be in your local language. So we have a hashtag on TikTok for Mzansi. That's a hashtag on its own that brings up different things compared to when you put your hashtag South Africa. So you have to know that hashtags may be in your local language. You might have to change even your TikTok from English to Afrikaans. to Swahili, to Arabic from time to time, because TikTok is very, very regional. And so your language setting is what you're going to use to explore various worlds. You need to follow the people who are current with trends, because if you are following an influencer on TikTok, or you, even as a lurker, you search their account every time, they're going to be doing the work for you. They are going to, on their TikTok account, you will definitely see the hashtags that you should be looking at as they change, because the hashtags change. This generation moves very fast. So one tip is to take the people who will scour the internet for you, and follow them, look at the hashtags that they are, and their followers are talking about. And then just click on that hashtag, because you can actively click on hashtags in a TikTok post, and it will show you everything on that hashtag. Now, you will have to decide if you want to lurk on TikTok or if you want to build trust. So there are some pros and cons as an investigator. If you have a TikTok account, you definitely have greater interactivity. You can definitely download videos. Yes, TikTok allows you to download the videos. But if you also want to lurk, the fact is that when people click, if you reach out to people, when they click on your profile and they see you've not posted anything, you've not done anything, they're not going to trust you and speak up to you, right? So there are some investigators that open profiles on TikTok to build their trust, and they use it to seek sources, and it's actually working for them. Some of them I follow on TikTok just to see what they are doing with their investigations, and I'll give you some examples now. So these are examples of TikTok investigations. So if you see this first one, it says Sniff Talk is where teenagers go to post videos of themselves high on MDMA. MDMA is a drug. Now, Sniff Talk is actually a hashtag. If you were not on TikTok and if you were not actively sniffing around on TikTok, you wouldn't know that it's Sniff Talk. So it's actively a hashtag, Sniff Talk, and that is basically TikTok for people who sniff anything, cocaine, whatever it is. And so these reporters asked some of them why they are doing what they are doing. And it was a bit enlightening. It also gave you a deep dive into the drug subculture from a young US point of view. The second example with Wired is that it was about prison life. So there's some people in prison and they are still able to TikTok. Now, the hashtag for that is prison TikTok, right? So they are behind bars and they're actually going viral. One of the prison TikToks I've seen, and I think was also one of the people they spoke to here, was somebody who was showing on his TikTok how he boils water without proper electricity in prison. So he had this video like a tutorial, right? Same thing for the Sniff Talk. They are teaching people how to make sure that they don't overdose, or what to do when they don't overdose, where to buy the drugs from, how to test if the drug actually works. It's a whole subculture. And then,
sorry to interrupt, but you probably got 2 minutes left.
Okay, yeah, I'm just rounding up. And then you have TikTok, as I said, also bringing out a whole demographic of young people. The political pundits of TikTok in this story, they actually have what they call hype houses. Hype houses is also a hashtag. And there you can see how people are creatively not just debunking news, but also how they are getting themselves together for good information, to disseminate good political information, but also to show bad misinformation and disinformation. So these are things that are being investigated. And so just to quickly wrap up here, we have some resources that you can use, and they will be made available to everyone who's attended the session. You can have, TikTok already has all sorts of tutorials on how to use TikTok. There's a YouTube link from Tech Boomers. They have, I think, up to 50 videos on how to use TikTok from beginning. So you shouldn't be afraid of that. It even helps you to, make sure that your privacy is on point. And finally, the senior social media editor at the UK's Daily Telegraph, Francesco Zaffarano, he has this whole directory of about 150 journalists and investigators as well, and media outlets who use TikTok. So you get on that Excel sheet and you can see what people are doing with TikTok. It can inspire you, it can help you, and hopefully you will be able to do great work with TikTok. Thank you.
Rhoda, thanks very much. Let's go straight into Adebayo on deepfakes and shell effects. Adebayo, you've got 20 minutes. I'll give you a 3-minute warning. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me well. And thank you, Rona, for that elaborate introduction to how to investigate on TikTok. In full disclosure, I am not on TikTok, but maybe I'll come take some lessons on how to be a lurker from you. Because yeah, it's true that TikTok has become a very major tool for places to find what's going on and how to follow the news. So thanks for that. My name is Adebayo Okewo. I'm the Africa Program Manager at Witness. Witness is an international human rights organization that leverages the power of video and technology in the defense and protection of human rights. And I'm going to be sharing a bit about deepfakes and shallow fakes and what they mean for the world, but more specifically in the context of Africa. So I'll just share my screen because I have a presentation as well. I think it's first important to establish that Witness is very concerned about the issue of deepfakes and shallow fakes because it impacts on the work that we do. As an organization that pushes for the power of video evidence in advancing accountability and justice, we have increasingly seen how the prevalence of deepfakes and shallow fakes can undermine the truth of those communities that we support. So typically, gone are the days, unfortunately, that you could say seeing is believing. You could before now say, even if they could Photoshop a picture, it was difficult to Photoshop or manipulate a video. However, unfortunately, that has become increasingly more prevalent. And as we encourage communities and activists and groups to document instances of police brutality, for instance, or cases of any human rights violations, we are also beginning to see very suppressive regimes use the excuse that it's a fake as a reason to undermine the truth of the stories being told by these brave individuals who want to get the world to see what's happening to them so that justice and accountability can be pursued. And that is where it then becomes important for us at Witness to engage in the issue of deepfakes and shallow fakes. And as a global organization, we have started to consult and hold workshops with different stakeholders. And we had one in South Africa last year in November, where we brought together journalists and other activists to go through what the threats are currently in Africa and what should we be prioritizing. And some of those things I'll bring out in the course of this conversation. But it's probably first important to establish a background about deepfakes. So deepfake videos started to emerge in the late 2017. And in that intervening time, they have been labeled as a looming crisis for national security, democracy, and privacy. My colleague, Sam Gregory, who is a leading voice on the issue of deepfakes, has been cautioning that we should prepare and we should not panic because the panic mode that many people are also entering into is becoming very dangerous because it enhances the risk that people become exposed to. It becomes even more risky than the threat that the technology itself is beginning to pose. However, it's something we should pay attention to because I don't know how many of us are familiar with some of the trends in the US. We've seen deepfake videos of politicians like Nancy Pelosi and President Obama. And so the threat is real. Deepfakes and other synthetic media are also new forms of media manipulation that make it easier to make someone look like they said something they never said or did something that they never did. And it could be done to any audio or video recording, and it just manipulates what you're seeing. At the beginning of the introduction of deepfakes, it was kind of more obvious to spot because the technology was still nascent at the time, it was still novel. But increasingly, as with everything with technology, people are beginning to perfect the act. Previously, you could say that you would spot a deepfake if the subject matter did not blink. So if you compared a video that was original with a deepfake version, you would see that, oh, if the person in the deepfake version wasn't blinking, if there were no blinks in the eye, then it was a sign that there was a deepfake, because that's a natural human reaction. We would blink our eyes countless number of times per minute. So that was kind of a sign. However, the technology has advanced, and again, that has been overcome. So if you see a deepfake and if you see a video that is blinking, it doesn't mean it's not deepfake. It could very well still be a deepfake. So technology has continued to increase over time and gotten better, which just makes the process of identifying deepfakes and spotting them and countering them all the more difficult. And then the response to deepfakes has taken a number of methods. Some have gone the way of legislative approach to regulate social media platforms. And we've seen that in a country like China. I would preempt myself, just in case I do not have the time to get back to it, by saying that, for example, in the case of China, China is introducing a policy that demands that anybody who creates a deepfake and posts it online without indicating that it's a deepfake would face some penalties, including fines and jail time. It's sort of typical with what to expect of China. But yes, that is some of the legislative approaches that some people are taking. And of course, in a country like Nigeria, for those who are also familiar with it, there was the attempt to introduce a social media bill last year, which was vigorously pushed and advocated against by many NGOs because of the potential to suppress the freedom of expression. And some of those kind of approaches also have the tendency of saying, if you post any sort of deep fake online, then you would be facing certain penalties. And the reason why this is risky is because in some instances, and I'll get to that in a bit, deepfake can also sit at the intersection of it being dangerous, but also it being an expression of art, satire and things like that. So it introduces a dimension whereby we want to be careful because it has human rights implications, but we also do not want to kind of shut people down from being expressive. So yes, we've seen the reaction largely from North America and Europe. And just like Rona also said, many of these new technologies have taken bigger roots in the developed world, but we're starting to see the trickle-down effect in parts of Africa. And that's why I say there are some African examples, and I'll share some of that just right now.
Je suis le proconsul de France au Cameroun, pardon, l'ambassadeur de France au Cameroun, Christophe Guillou. Je voudrais dire quelques mots aux Camerounaises et aux Camerounais. À savoir que je suis au Cameroun pour les intérêts de la République française. Je recommence. Je suis au Cameroun uniquement, exclusivement, essentiellement, nécessairement pour les intérêts de la République française. La République française, c'est la puissance de tutelle qui, en fait, a colonisé le Cameroun. Même si on a appelé ça territoire sous tutelle, mes ancêtres ont conquis ce territoire par la force, la ruse et le droit international. Une colonie, ça sert à être exploité.
Before I move on to the next example, I would just, I believe many of us saw the interpretation or the subtitles in English, but I'm sure even without introducing this as a deepfake, you already see the poor attempt to make this look like a real video, because you see how plastic it looks very fake. But that is to those who are probably very critical. Not everybody might see this and conclude that, oh, wow, it's actually a fake, because the person being impersonated is indeed the ambassador of France to Cameroon. Now, some of what he said are, this has been presented in the context of satire, and the person who actually posted it, when he posted it, he also said this is a deep fake. But the points that he made are interestingly very true to an extent. And so this wasn't necessarily labeled as a fake video, but it was labeled as partly being false. And that is very interesting because some of the things he said about Cameroon still being somehow under the power of France are the realities that many Cameroonians would tell you that they're still exposed to. But nonetheless, at the bottom of this is that this wasn't the ambassador saying these words, but a deepfake version. And this was a very poor attempt at a deepfake, but we already have seen this start to happen and take root. Fortunately, there wasn't any negative, at least so far as I know, any negative impact as a result of this video being put out, because it's not in all instances of deepfakes that we can very well say there was no harm done. And that's why it becomes very concerning, because human rights organizations have seen the harm that this can have on individuals and groups. And that is why we are kind of making concerted efforts to alert people to this on how we could avoid deepfakes. So I'll move on to the next example quickly.
Si votre bien-être m'importe, notre vivre ensemble me préoccupe tout autant. Car rappelons que la nation gabonaise est une et indivisible. Mes chers compatriotes, Gabonaises, Gabonais, avant toute chose, permettez-moi de vous adresser.
Les soldats ont pensé dans leur discours que la personne qui est venue lire le discours.
Le spectacle désolant de ce discours de Nouvel An à la nation est une honte aux yeux du monde pour notre pays qui a perdu sa dignité.
So that is that's another very good example that came from Gabon. Now, just a bit of context. The president of Gabon, Ali Bongo, had suffered a stroke in 2018, late 2018, and there had been rumors making the rounds about the state of his health, that he was not in good shape. There were several speculations. The citizens of Gabon had not seen their president in many months. And so speculation started to swirl, and it gave rise to people thinking that the president was incapacitated. So typically he would give a New Year's Eve address, and he did that at the end of December 31st, 2018. However, there were concerns about whether it's truly the president. The whole issue blew up, and there were many people saying, no, the president actually was deep-faked, and some said, oh, this is the president for real. Before you knew what was happening, a week later, this resulted in a coup in Gabon, because the military then took over, saying that they believe that their president is incapacitated. Fortunately, the coup was shut down within 24 hours, because then the president was forced to come out in reality to disprove the fact that that video was deepfaked. But the reason why that could even happen in the first place is why we always have to make people aware of the risks that deepfake have, because the technology is out there. And so even when you are presented with the truth, people can deny it as being true. And this is why we should be worried, because deepfakes and shallow fakes have the potential of inciting violence, just like with the example of Gabon that I just cited. And also because it has been especially used to target women, and this has resulted in online harassment. A lot of the deepfakes examples that have come out from the global north and in Europe and places like Russia have been, the use case scenarios have been using women to swap their faces onto pornographic videos, and that is very shocking, and many women have been victims of this. And it has become even easier for this to be achieved because the applications are there online, and I will cite some of them in the course of this. And again, because when anything can be fake, it becomes much easier for the guilty to dismiss the truth as fake. It's the tool that is used by oppressive regimes. When you feel that anything could actually be fake, they would easily tell you that what you're seeing is very fake. And we've seen that play out in just the recent example of the EndSARS movement in Nigeria, where the government specifically came out to deny many things, including the video evidence that had emerged from the shooting that happened on the 20th of October. And of course, a number of people pushed back that even if you could say the videos were manipulated, you cannot possibly claim that a live stream video through Instagram was also a fake. However, it doesn't take away the reality that people in oppressive regimes use this tactic to shoot down the truth.
I'm afraid you've got 2 minutes left.
2 minutes, oh my goodness.
Well, actually, your time is up, but we're giving you 2 minutes. Looks like
Okay, let me run through this. Let me see, I have to skip through this. Okay, we have examples of shallow fakes, which is more prevalent in Africa. That's something we've seen. Even though I've shown you examples from Gabon and Cameroon, the prevalent examples are shallow fakes. And this is an image, if you remember earlier this year, where a Ugandan activist, climate activist, was cropped out, because now here's the real image. And you see this, and then it blew up on the internet. But if you just check this, you would think that this fuller image never existed. But for her, who came out and called out the unfairness of the crop, and then people started to say, oh, but why did you crop her out? And things like that. Of course, again, in more very serious case scenarios, this is an image that also comes from the NSARS movement. But the real image is this, whereby if you contextualize this in the era of thugs attacking peaceful protesters and having police officers standing by while that violence occurred and ensued, it becomes a case that one can make for state complicity in the violence itself. But if you just took this, which was what many media houses actually reported and used on their websites, a different story is being told entirely. So these are cases of shallow fakes, and they also have grave implications. And developers make it easy because the technology is being mainstreamed, and people can have mobile apps now that can allow them create fakery, including this one that I just put up on screen, the fake app, which has already been downloaded 100,000 times, over 100,000 times. Again, developers like Adobe have made it easy because they, in the bid to make movie edits a lot more cinematic, they introduce things like the content aware field, which, just like you saw, can easily erase an object from a video without you necessarily doing too much but a few clicks. And that is very problematic. It's good for Hollywood, but it becomes problematic if you apply this in the context of, say, war crimes, for instance, where somebody can just with some clicks take out some evidence of human rights abuse.
So we've just been given an extra 5 minutes, so you can carry on.
Okay,
thanks to the organizers.
I was already sprinting through. Thank you so much. I'll wrap up quickly. So what can we do? These are some of the things that we really have been advocating for at Witness, which one of it is that there has to be a toolmaker responsibility for every developer, because you cannot tell people not to develop the technology. So you have to start to have a conversation about, if you are developing a technology that can be harmful, then you should make it easy to detect its misuse. But the problem with this is that because it's open source many times, you can't control how people abuse or misuse it. So even if the toolmaker themselves take responsibility, the tool might be open source and people could use it for nefarious purposes. But that is something that definitely we can pursue. Platform responsibility. Many of these videos that are deepfaked or shallow fake examples end up on platforms like Twitter and Facebook. And we've been advocating also for there to be some measure of identification of deepfakes. And you would realize that Twitter has started to implement a policy whereby a deepfake video or a deepfake photograph is labeled as a deepfake. And that has also been used even on the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Again, it's difficult to make this scale up because Twitter is a massive platform, for instance, and they have just a few verifiers and fact checkers who can implement this. But nevertheless, platform responsibility is also something we need to see more of. And labeling these things as deepfake also can help enhance people being cautious about what they're seeing. Of course, seeking consent of those being deepfake, because we have seen good positive examples of deepfakes. Actually, if you check on YouTube, you'll see a video that was a deepfake involving David Beckham, and he was speaking about the negative impact of malaria and how to counter that. And it was a deepfake video, but that was a positive use case scenario. And of course, we know that deepfake can be used for good and in terms of satire, but we still must make sure there's consent and not what we are currently seeing with the porn use case scenarios against many women.
Okay, we seem to have lost Adebayo. Can just check. Nope, it's not coming back. So either he's got a tech problem or the AIJC is being really. Adebayo, are you back? No. Well, the AIJC has been really harsh about the time limits. So he's disappeared. So let's move on. If he comes back, he can wrap up for us. We have a couple of minutes left. We have one question so far, which is for Riona. Riona, it's from Chikeri Ize, and it's one of the burning questions of our media time. Can you recommend a monetization strategy using TikTok for publishing houses?
Yeah, I actually can, but then the question will now be how far the media house is going to go, because already we are having problems with staffing based on COVID. We're having problems with even technological savvy. TikTok is a new technology, but there's one way to make that I see media houses as being able to monetize TikTok. So it's either you're an influencer and you do product placement on TikTok. That's not going to work because as journalists, that's not our remit traditionally. So the only way is through TikTok coins. Now in TikTok, in everybody's profile, there is an icon that is still under settings. You can't miss it. So it says balance. And when you click on it, it gives you the chance to buy what TikTok calls coins. So TikTok users can buy coins. 100 coins is equal to $1.29. And when you buy it, what you can do is you give your favorite TikToker, your influencer, or in this case, your favorite media houses, you donate to them. Now, usually, coins are spent, and this is the catch, coins are spent during lives. What it would then mean is that you can't just say, donate to me, your coins to me. No, you have to perform for it. So you have to be running a live, and during the live, your users can now donate coins to you, which you then convert into what they call diamonds. Basically, you convert the cash and you get payment through PayPal, right? But so these are the two things. The media house will have to come up with lives, right? That will allow it be, it's like making it rain, or what we call spraying in Nigeria. They will give you the money during your live, and then you can now convert it to PayPal. The other problem is this: if you're able to do these lives, the problem would be PayPal is not commonplace in a lot of African countries. So those are the issues.
Thank you very much. Sounds a bit like the old traditional model of revenue for newspapers, which was to sell things of unknown value that can't be measured.
Correct.
Rona and the missing Adebayo, whose computer shut down, thank you so much for that, for those presentations. Super informative, and also I think a bit of a wake-up call for us in terms of how platforms are proliferating, and the kind of work we can do on them. And as you say, resource-heavy stuff, so you need to choose quite carefully, I would imagine. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for attending our call. Welcome back, Adebayo. You've got 3 seconds to say goodbye.
I'm so sorry. I was talking about technology, and technology messed me up. But yes, please go on and check on, because I was going to get to how you could actually use some tools to counter deepfakes. Please go on to witness.org to find out more information about some of the work we've done and how to enable you spot and counter deepfakes. Thank you all for listening. Hope to catch up with you some other time.
Great use of 3 seconds. Thank you. I'd like to hand over now to Professor Anton Harber, who is the mastermind behind the AIJC and many other things. Anton, thanks very much for the opportunity. I think I speak on behalf of the panelists as well. And over to you.
Thank you, friends, colleagues, conference partners, the investigative journalists of Africa. A few closing remarks at the end of this conference from me as the convener of the conference. It's time to draw this, the 17th annual African Investigative Journalism Conference, to an end. This year, we've had 42 sessions with over 130 speakers from 31 countries. That's fewer sessions that we normally have, but more speakers. And we had a total of 443 people from 36 countries register for the conference on our app. You can see from this map that we had excellent representation, particularly across sub-Saharan Africa. We'll do more work in future years to draw more from North Africa and from Francophone Africa. But many more people engaged with us on all the other platforms we also made ourselves available on. In all, we reached an astounding 29,000 people across the world through our various platforms. And there were 2,600 views of our various sessions live streamed on Facebook. So doing it virtually meant it was a long conference, but we could draw in many more people from many more countries, including lots who had never been able to, who would never have made it to Johannesburg in a normal year. Interestingly, of those who registered, because those are the most accurate figures we have, 43% were women, indicating, I think, healthy shifts in the makeup of our profession. It wasn't long ago when we scrambled around to get a few women speakers. Look, this year we did miss the chats over coffee, the meals, the drinks. We sometimes battled with connectivity, but I'm sure you'll agree with me that we still managed to tackle some of the real challenges facing our journalism around the continent. And most importantly, we highlighted some great work being done in many parts of Africa. I hope that everyone has learned something. The training sessions did seem to be the most popular. So there is a hunger to improve our work across the continent, to share skills, to learn, to teach. I think we heard in the presentations that the state of investigative reporting varies enormously from country to country across Africa. From some places, we heard about innovative, challenging, important work that's shining light into dark corners of the continent. Unfortunately, in other countries, it's an uphill battle for our colleagues who face persecution, shortage of resources, and sometimes very tough conditions. But I think you'll agree with me that there was a lot to inspire us. We saw courage and determination in bucket loads. We saw some brilliant and some powerful work. There was a great range of work, I thought, not just corruption, which is always a strong element, but health, the environment, illegal trafficking, and so on. And hopefully this conference helps create links across borders for people, for journalists to work with, support, encourage, collaborate with each other. Just for your information, we sponsor about 80 data fellowships to enable people to join us. And we've given out about 25 grants to enable investigative work. It's the first time we've done it on that scale. It'll be interesting to see if it facilitates work that would not otherwise be done. We hope those grantees will bring their work to show us next year. I don't think anyone has any doubt that the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, has added a new layer of difficulty for journalists. And yet, there was some remarkable work done in exposing corruption and ineptitude in dealing with the pandemic, highlighting what an essential role our investigative reporters play in these countries at the most difficult of times. It's also worth noting, I think, as we close, what I think is one of the most positive things we've seen in recent years, and we saw very strongly this year, the flowering of a number of standalone, non-profit, specialist centers of investigative reporting in a number of different countries. There is a shift from traditional commercial newsrooms being the focus of investigative work to these new grant and philanthropy funded operations. And I think that's a positive development for these difficult times. Look, the thing that shines through all the discussions and talks and the presentations is that journalism is such a vital public service. We do this work, we heard it again and again, because we want to serve our public, our countries, and our continent. We need to beam out that message that journalism is an essential public service to the public at large. And we need our colleagues to be recognized for this and to have the status and standing befitting this. This conference would not have been a success without all the participants, all the 132 speakers who were generous with their time and their knowledge, sharing it with us all. I must mention our investigative journalism partners around the continent, various organizations that work with us on the program, on the events we held, worked hand in hand with us. I can't name them all, but we recognize them. Of course, our funding partners are extremely important. Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, Open Society Foundation. This year, I'm pleased to say for the first time, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Civicus, who partner us on a lot of work across Africa. OSISA, that's Open Society for Southern Africa. Our global partner network, the Global Investigative Journalism Network, which this year we co-hosted 2 events with them in our program. We were very pleased the Committee for Protection of Journalists joined us for the Carlos Cardoso lecture, and we hope that's a long partnership. There was CEDA, who gave us support, and a long-standing partner in Deutsche Welle. We thank them for their contribution to making this conference what it is. But I do have to give a special, special thank you, a big mention, a big shout out to our team here in Joburg. I can't mention them all, but there's a number who played a key role. Shireen, Spongile, Pierre, Tsepo, Aurelia, Isaac, Juliana. They all, them and the volunteers and the others, did sterling work. Here's a picture of the team in our conference headquarters, where we gathered every day to manage this from a central point, carefully social distanced and wearing our masks. I hope that you found the conference as stimulating and rewarding as I have. We hope and pray that next year we'll be able to meet physically, and we'll welcome you all back to Johannesburg. But you know, we've learned a lot this year about running a virtual conference. Maybe next year we'll run a hybrid conference, a physical one to bring together those who can come together in Johannesburg, but then a virtual presence that can also bring in a lot of others who can't come physically to Johannesburg, but who can take part in and join the conference and hopefully expand our cadre of investigative journalists. So here's to AIJC 2021. Watch our website, watch our newsletter. We'll be announcing the dates and wrapping it up. Meanwhile, stay strong, stay healthy, be bold, be innovative, continue, most importantly, your great work. Next year, come and share it with us. Thank you very much.